Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to RVDaydream. Hyperax. This is a company we dealt with before. We were highly impressed with their product, and they have even something newer that could make your life a little bit easier when you're trying to haul your e-bike, especially in the back of your RV. So let's take a look at this thing.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
As the name might suggest, racks. This is a bike rack. This one, though, is the Volt Lift. This one has the ability to assist you getting your bike up onto the back of either your truck or your RV. In this case, I'm going to be using my pickup truck since we don't have a travel trailer or a fifth wheel anymore. That's something we just went shopping for, actually. But this will allow you to get that bike up on there. Other than the addition of having a built-in ramp, the Hyperax systems is one of the only few that allows for e-bikes. That's the biggest thing that everybody has a problem with. They go out and get a bike rack, and then they either have to reinforce it or they can't use it in the manner that they normally would because it can't handle the tire. You know, maybe you have a fat tire, but the weight, more importantly, the weight. So this one, as with the one that we did before, has the ability to carry 2 bikes. You can load onto this rack 80 pounds per bike, not 80 pounds total. 80 pounds per bike. So this can handle 160 pounds. It also comes with the locking hitch pin with keys. It also has a locking hook that'll allow you to secure your bike and lock your bike. Now, I've said this before, with just like anything else, if somebody wants to steal your bike, they're going to steal your bike. There's nothing out there really other than keeping it inside your RV in your bedroom with you that's going to assure that nobody's going to take your stuff. And that may not even work if you're a heavy sleeper. But the idea behind this one is that not only does the rack lock up to your hitch, but they also allow you to be able to secure your bike when you're at the campsite just by putting it back on the rack and pushing down the lock, and it locks it up. You don't have to run a cable or anything like that. However, they do offer accessories such as a locking cable. If you want an extra level of security, you can also do that. Of course, this one has the ratchet straps or safety straps that's available on it, all built in. This is for a class 3 or higher hitch. So you're not going to be able to stick this on your smaller car necessarily, especially when you get a smaller car. Some of them don't have 160 pound capability. So this will carry bikes that have wheels or tires that are up to 5 inches, and the wheelbase can be up to 58 inches. With this design, as you can imagine, because it is so big and so heavy duty, it is a little heavy. For example, this box weighs out to be about 103 pounds. You're talking probably about 90 pounds, close to 90 pounds of weight that you'll be adding to the back of your RV. That's not including all of the weight of the bikes. So be aware that you're going to be putting potentially, if you have 2 80-pound e-bikes, and this thing weighing out at almost 90 pounds, you know, you're putting up to 250 pounds on the bumper of your RV. Motorhomes, of course, and fifth wheels don't really get affected by this as much, if at all. However, travel trailers, especially if you have small travel trailers, you need to revisit your tongue weight and the way that you're loading your RV up when you put this much weight on the back end. Now, for shipping reasons, this thing comes in an overboxed sleeve. Normally you would slide the box out of the sleeve and then open the box. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the sleeve off of it. And once the sleeve is cut off there, it gives me a little bit of a work surface because I'm out here in the driveway. You might have to do this at the campground, especially out in the grass. Then we need to take and cut the tape off the box because it's a lift top. So in this case, again, we'll just go around here with a knife. And now the packaging can be lifted off of the bottom, which it's kind of vacuumed on there. And you can see what the system looks like. They always do a really good job with their instructions. Clearly labeled, clearly identifiable. That's what's going to look like when it's fully assembled. Packaging has all these buffers in here. Everything's contained. One box is going to be a little bit heavier than the other one, the smaller box, as far as height. And the second box you can see here is also buffered up real nice with the extra styrofoam to keep things from moving around and keeping it all contained as it did. And at first glance, the finish on this is beautiful. It's not a hammer tone. It is a, looks like an epoxy type finish. Sure, it's probably on some kind of baked on, but it's very nice. It's a metallic, and I don't know, it looks to be gray, but the finish on it is top notch. And the thing is you know, you have a nice RV, you keep it shined up, you keep your bikes clean, you keep them pretty shined up. Why not have a rack that does the same thing? First of all, something as simple as a trinket that's given. This is nice. This is just a little pocket knife. It has a couple screwdrivers on it. Again, a trinket, but nonetheless appreciated. The other thing they give you is a window sticker for your RV to help you remember that you have something on the back of your RV, so you don't back it into something. Most of us have cameras now, but still, it's a good thing to have to remember, because I actually write down my height and put it on a piece of tape and stick it to my dash to remember as I go down the road. Sometimes I forget. These keys are identical, and they work for not only the hitch pin lock, but again, the locks for the hold downs, which we'll show you those a little bit later. But the other thing they do, they give you these really nice wrenches. Looks like a beer opener, beer bottle opener or bottle opener. Allen wrenches, that's a given, but these are very nice offset, considering that you're only going to use them once essentially. But I would keep these in your toolbox in case you have to go back and tighten. You never know, so these could potentially loosen up. However, they've already treated the bolts that need to be treated with Loctite accordingly, so that's very thoughtful of them. Way ahead of the game there. But just the layout overall, all the components, put them out there, take a look, go through the manual. Again, you can match up everything on the manual to see if you have exactly what they say you have or what you need. And I'm looking here, and this is quite nice. I'm very happy that they have given me a little bit extra. You know, this could have just easily been a box full of stuff. They didn't have to package it and separate it. I mean, stuff like this, they've actually included the washers that are needed for these bolts and nuts already assembled, so you're not hunting through a whole bunch of different washers. I like that. And they package the hitch pin stuff together as compared to the other stuff that's required to put this together. Before we get into the rack, now that it's all mounted, bolted together, I want to show you some of the stuff that you may think is kind of left over because it's not shown in the instructions, but it is shown in the instructions. It's just, these are things that you may or may not need. I say yes to these. You can see that they're ribbed, they're very heavy, and they are rubberized. And what they do is they protect your bike from rub marks. What I mean is, these here, if you look up in the corner here, these are all rubber. They're real nice, soft rubber. They're thick. It's kind of, I mean, they're definitely thicker than most hand grips are. But the problem is you may still experience some movement underneath this arm, and it could rub your paint. And a lot of people have nice bikes. They don't want it to be scratched up, so they make this here, and it does curl around. You can see here, and it's just held on with Velcro. This allows it to you know, kind of conform with the size and the shape of the crossbar. And then you have these straps here. These are safety straps. These run from here underneath. They run up over the bikes and back down again. Basically, that's to help them keep everything steady a little bit more than what these arms are doing already. And of course the straps, which I'll show you that here in a little bit. These straps are also included, and they have a cam buckle on them. And what they are basically extensions for these here, for the fat tire bikes. You know, those fat tire bikes, they have a lot of distance that could be needed to strap it down. And of course, this strap may not be long enough. They didn't want to make it too crazy long for the shorter bikes or the smaller bikes. So they give you these extensions that just slip on. I have also some brackets here that you see. These brackets were actually for small tire. This is for a small tire accessory. They just go on, and then they give you bolts and locking washers, and you just adjust that to the size of the tire that you have. Basically, these ramps are set up for the fat beach cruiser style bike, and it's the right length and everything. Instead of trying to take a smaller one and make it bigger and accommodate the bigger bikes with smaller rack builds, it's easier to take a bigger rack build, a heavier rack build, and make it accommodate a smaller bike. So this, in general, when you first get it, this is set up for, like in our case, the TST Dreamer bike. We also had bikes that are very similar in size. You're talking like the Hemingway, the Rad Rover. We've had all those bikes, the Magicycle. There's so many I could list, and they pretty much are all the same as far as length, the tire size, and how much weight they are. So these brackets, that's for the smaller, you know, ones. And of course, you know, they give you the nuts and the bolts for that. So hang on to that in case you get into a smaller bike. There is a safety cable that they give you. In the instructions, they show you how they give you a hole on the main bracket that's attached to the truck. And that is, of course, secured with a locking device for the pin. The same locking device that's used for the pin is used for the cable, and that allows you to route it around through the bikes. And again, even though this has locks, which I'll show you, this will allow you to secure it just one step further. So with the tailgate up, it'll get me a little bit more room to move around here, but I'm going to be operating from this side as the ramps are offset. So you're going to load the bike that's closest to your RV bumper, closest to the hitch, one way from, in this case, the passenger side of the truck, and the other from the driver's side. And depending on your bike configuration, you may need a crossbar for a step through. That's not true with all of them. It is true with mine. It would probably work a little bit better, but I can show you that it still does work even if you don't have it. It's just going to be a little bit different whenever you connect it, and you'll have to decide which one of these hold down arms goes where. So this is what it looks like whenever you get to the site and you're wanting to load the bikes. Maybe you've just put this back down and reattach that bolt. It's really nice because it's just a pin that's out of the camera view, obviously, and you just slide this out. When you slide this out, it unlocks the track from the frame, the main frame of the bike carrier, so that it will pivot. It will not pivot with this track in. One of the things I'm going to tell you to do is use your brakes. It's nothing to load the bike as long as you use the brakes. Now you are rolling it up a hill. You're not lifting it, but you're rolling it up a hill, so make sure that you can push it up the hill. If you get tired or you need to take a break, just pull your brake. Once you get past a certain point though, you're going to get it to where it's going to pivot. And again, holding your brake, that way the bike don't go flying, it'll allow you to position the bike exactly where you want. Now to keep it still, slide the rack in until you hear it click. Once it clicks, now it will no longer pivot. You cannot get this to pivot anymore. So now that the bike is up and in this position, what you would do is just lower by pushing the lock button on the hold down, and just let it go over top of the frame of the bike and let it secure itself. It automatically locks. If you're not pushing this locks into place. It doesn't completely lock until you use a key to make it to where this button can't be pushed. But as far as securing the bike, you don't need the key. And you do want to be concerned with the fact that your bike could get scuffed by this rubber. So this is when you would use, or this is where you would strap on that pad that protects your frame in this really nice paint job, even more than what these do already. Plus, just as a note, I know from using this in the past, our other one, you're going to want to rock the bike back and forth as you push down. That way you can get this really secured to where it's holding it even more than what it was. And you're going to do that again once you have everything strapped. So in this case, you can see that this tire strap, no problem to make it to the other side. The one in the front though, as you can see here, this strap is definitely not long enough to make it. So that's why they give you those extensions, so you can then strap this down through this cam. And you just pull them and they do their job. I mean, they really hold them in place. But again, you're going to use those safety straps to then go, we'll go ahead and flip around this way, from right here through this bracket, up and over the bike, and then back down through. And you're going to tighten it quite a bit. But this is essentially how the bike gets mounted. Obviously, we've got some more securing we can do. You've got to be concerned about the weight of the bikes as it is in comparison with your hitch. As I mentioned before, some of these smaller cars do not need to be carrying this. It just can't handle it. It's too much. Not only do you have all this weight, you have it, out in such a way that you've got even more leverage to pull down on that hitch in the frame. Talking about the hitch though, even though this one's quite rusty, it is very, very good hitch. There's the bolt that threads in from the other side. You'll tighten the bolt, not overly tighten it, but you want to snug it up pretty good. And then you just put the lock on. It just snaps in place, takes a key to bring it off. And then at that point, you're going to take this knob and you're going to move this knob up against there. Now, that's not for anti-rattling. All that is so that the next time you put your hitch back in, you know that once that bracket hits the hitch, that the hole's lined up. All the hitches are a little bit different usually, and this will get it to where you don't have to hunt for that hole. But it's a good, again, I know that the quality of the paint job doesn't come out on camera, but it's very nice. Like I said, it's got to be on a baked on enamel or epoxy or something. And overall, it's a good quality bike rack. Obviously, we could put another bike on here. It would have to be one of my shorter ones, probably another step through for that to work. But again, they do make a crossbar that attaches right here and then up here on the neck, and it provides and basically makes a bar for this to grab onto and pull down. And one last thing, I want you to take a good look at this. You can see the distance that it's away from the hitch. Again, now that you've got maybe on your RV a hitch that's underneath and you have a bumper, maybe you have some sort of a cargo carrier or something, this will clear all that. This will definitely clear all that. So it's nice that they've allowed that. Not only that, but again, for hatchback vehicles, this doesn't have any kind of a swing away function. So this will allow you to at least open your hatch a little bit. If you've got, a big tailgate that's going to come up, the nice thing about, again, here, we've got a full-size truck, and the tailgate easily clears to where you might have to be concerned about one of the bike pedals as this goes down, but that's about it. I like these. They've always done a good job with this stuff, and I'm really, really happy that they contacted me and told me about this new ramp system that they have, because quite honestly, the last one, you had to lift the bike to get it up there, and these bikes aren't light, and I'm getting older, so it's not always as easy as it used to be. So if you guys are interested in this, there's going to be links in the description. Click the link, it'll take you right to it. And as always, guys, we hope to see you out there. Bye.